I like how that says that. It's showtime.
I see the
What
stream.
is
I see the stream is live. Let's talk about ABS Chicago Hair Show. Was it a success? Was it or not? Was it or not? Was it or a sex?
Was it or a
Was
success?
it a success or was it not? All the words were there, just in a different order. Oh, it's funny. I told a lot of people this weekend at the show what my full-time job was because they think I'm behind the chair. No, I'm answering hairdressers all day, dealing with a challenge right now. Somebody's saying something about our onstage hair, and I get her to send videos in, and that, oh man, I'm taking screenshots, putting pictures, and the bead, that bead is like this. The hair's going through the bead this way, and the line's kind of supposed to look like the creases on my fingers, but her lines on the beads are like this, almost straight up and down like that. 2 or 3 of them are slightly diagonal, which will
What,
work.
is she pulling them out too far? She's over directing too much?
Taking the tool and going straight up from the bottom and squeezing them, or just a lazy hand down low going in and grabbing that bead at a low angle. And it makes me realize, we send education. And so that's kind of what I wanted to kind of talk about a little bit today, is the onstage hair extension education and the hair show and how they relate together. And just watch the education more than once. Watch it, do it, watch it, do it. I remember this last education we simulated with you, actually. I thought that was the funniest thing. And I said, Eddie, so I'm going to be the teacher and you're going to be the student. So I need you to do the things wrong that students do. And your face was...
I was trying so hard.
Your face was like, why do I have to be the idiot?
The sucky one, right? Why do I gotta suck?
Why do I have to suck? Because nobody knows how to do it inherently. You have to be shown almost anything. So it always amazes me when people say, I'm certified in 14 different techniques. So I'd like to just buy your hair. I think I can get it. Well, our technique happens to be different than any other technique I've seen in over 30 years. I've been doing this for about 34 years. We discovered this weekend. Hair, that is. Extensions, somewhere in that first year I got started doing wefts and cutting hair off and hot gluing it in. And the hot box, does anybody know what the hot box is? I'd love you to show me a picture of the hot box, because there was literally a tool that had red letters. It was probably like pinstriping for a vehicle that was used, and they spelled out hot box on the side of it. And it was a very specific tool. It was a fancy hot glue gun is what it was. And you put the glue on the ends of the hair yourself and put it in. And then they had pre-tipped and then eye-tips and then tape ins. And so there's a lot of techniques out there. And then quite a few recently that I have not done because there's just so many blew up. And I've got some extensions in my office. Somebody sent me that's got this little silicone squiggly tail on the top. It's all held together with kind of like some sort of, I don't know, it almost looks like silicone, but then it's got a little tail just dangling. And I think you put a bead on that tail, which is much smaller and squishier, so you can get a better seal in there so they don't get that hot, warm, dark place that causes a fungus like most eye tips do, fungus or mold. I don't want to go into those details now. We got it in other videos. But there are so many techniques out there. And so then with this one, it is pretty simple and very fast, but you still need to kind of be shown. And at the hair show, it's always my favorite when people say, oh, I see it. Can I just buy the hair? Well, you don't think you need to know how? Well, I just saw you do it. Yeah, I saw Martin Parsons do updos. I still can't freaking do it. I mean, and I have to say, I saw Martin Parsons do updos at these hair shows and thought and did think I could do it. I'm like, he makes it look so simple. You just do like this and then you smooth and then swirl and there it is. And
yeah, but I'll figure it out. But I can figure it out. I've been doing different techniques. I can figure it out.
But I did think I could do it. And I'm far from doing an updo. Never done one that looked decent. Only done 2 or 3 in my life. But I can't. You know what it made me do? At least I was smart enough to think that looks really simple, but I've never done it before. I bought his DVDs at the time. I bought these DVDs, and it was like 3 or 4 of them at $20 a piece. And I got back, and my wife's like, "What are you doing? You don't do updos." I'm like, "But I
do now."
If I watch these videos, I think I can do it. And I couldn't. I even watching the videos, it was pretty difficult. And so I wonder if I've crossed that line where I've made this technique look so simple at a hair show when we just do it and we put a whole weft in like 3 or 4 minutes and people look and they're like, yep, I can do that. But you're not doing it. You're not doing it. So you can do it? Maybe. Maybe. Even I had a little bit of a challenge. It was one of the fastest, easiest things I've ever done after a little bit of education. But still, even me, I was fumbling a little bit. World educator flew in from Australia to teach me in my own salon because I was going to be a distributor. And my son starts videoing. And Mario turns to him and says, let's not video till he gets it. He was worried that I was going to be insecure. And I said, no, I'm fine with it. I don't mind being bad at something at first and practicing and getting good. I almost want the documentation of me sucking at something.
Yeah, so you could see your progression move along.
Right.
You know?
I don't mind at all. But even I needed to be taught. And I've done so many techniques so well over so many years. And I'm still not arrogant enough to think I didn't need the education. I don't understand.
There's a difference between.
I'm going to eat a pretzel while you're talking.
There's a difference between being able to see something and replicate it and duplicate it. There's a difference between seeing something and being able to figure it out. And then there's a difference between being able to do it good or do it efficiently. And I think that's where a lot of people get the disconnect. They're like, I could do that. And it's like, yeah, you might be doing it good or you might be doing it well.
Okay.
But you don't have a mastery over it, you know? And I talk about this a lot. So at the hair show, I had a couple of people come up to me and be like, oh, I don't need to get certified. You know, I'm watching you do it right here, right now. I got this. I'm like, really? If you don't mind, why do you think so? Oh, because I've been trained in 7 different things. I go, okay. Why, if you got trained the first time, why did you get trained in the 6 other things past the first? They're like, well, you know, I don't know. You know, like a couple of people gave me excuses, but most people kind of looked at me for a second. They were getting ready to respond, and then they realized what I just asked them. And then they're like, all right, how much is it? I'm like, no. Let's not just go into how much is it. Let's really understand what's going on.
Right.
Education evolves constantly. Information and science and technology evolve constantly. So this barrier, this hang up against, you know, I don't feel like getting trained all over again. So as we were discussing with these people, you know, at the booth, turns up to be the education itself wasn't inspiring enough. And after hearing pretty much the same similar enough message over and over and over, the stylist shared with me that they're starting to get bored of just listening to the same old thing over and over and over. So I was like, okay, now we're discovering something. So then let's talk about the education, what you get if you take the on-stage education.
It really
is. I start going through it with them. And they're like, wait, what about where's the this, where's the that? I go, what are you talking about? Like, you know, from the other ones. I go, no, let's pretend I haven't seen any other education whatsoever. I'm just simply talking to you specifically about on stage. I'm not comparing it to anything else. I'm not harping on anything else. I'm not saying good or bad about anything else. Just with the on-stage education, this is what you get. They're like, oh, wow. Okay. And now all of a sudden the dialogue and a conversation starts developing. And then I say, after the education, this is what you additionally get. And then this is the support that you additionally get.
Right.
And you're like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah. What do you think? Like, we were just going to throw you to the wind and good luck out there?
The wolves.
To the wolves, excuse me, to the wolves.
No, I just like, you could throw them to either one, but the wolf sounds tougher.
Right. We don't want you to get eaten alive. We want you to come back to pack leader. You know, we want you to be strong. And that's the whole thing of it. So I think that's the disconnect.
You know what? That's a good point. I think maybe now that you said it, I want to touch on a few things. One is a lot of people think our education is like everybody else's. And that's a big difference because I've been told time and time again, and this is hard. It's not so hard for me, but it's supposed to be hard for me to say my education is great. Your education with me doing the extensions is really good.
Well, I don't have no problem telling anybody that our education is freaking
I know, but
fantastic.
listen, we did it and we still think I think it's pretty good, you know, but I keep getting from people that end up watching it. Oh my God, you didn't tell me it was this good. And I don't know how to say how good. And so that's the thing I keep getting is your education is not, you're not monotone. You're not boring. You're not all these things. There's no test at the end that you have to pass. You know what? You buy the education, you give it a try, you don't do it. The test is the client will be mad and not pay.
That's what I was just going to say. There is a test.
There is a test.
If you get yelled at.
But I think many stylists are thinking it's going to be the same old terrible, boring education they get from so many other places that's overpriced. Our education is very affordable. We really believe in making money off of the hair we sell. We're not trying to make money off the education. We just got to get the videographer paid for, the time paid for, the product paid for in the class, the kit and materials we send you paid for. So we're trying to just get you to a place where you do a good job and you don't complain and you don't have problems and you don't have challenges with the customer. And so the education, especially right now for the on-stage extensions, let's talk about that show deal. You get 3 wefts and a pack of strands. I mean, you can literally do 3 or 4 clients with the amount of hair we give you in the kit. Now, listen, the kit used to come with just 1 weft and it was short, 10 inches. I increased it to 18 inches because I thought that people deserve to get the hair we sell most of, because we do have 10, 14, 18, and 22-inch hair. But I just thought people should get in the kit the one that they use the most, 18 inches. And so I asked RJ to increase it to 18 inches, or I told him I thought that would be my pipe dream. And he goes, done, we'll do it. And I said, it's going to cost us more, huh? He said, oh, I think it'll be worth it if you think so. And I said, okay. And then I said, do they get to pick the color? He goes, do you think they should? And I was like, I would want to. And he said, all right. So we put it on the form. When you pay, you have a little form to fill out. Where should we mail your kit? We're going to send you a weft, what color, what tone, level 1 through 10. You know, it's not specific to the coloring because they don't have a coloring yet, but we say, give us a rough idea what you want. Blonde, light brown, dark brown, medium brown, red, you know. And so we give that weft right away with the kit for you to practice, maybe on somebody you know. And then after you get that kit and your coloring and you do a consultation, we then give you enough hair to do a full client's hair. We give you 2 wefts and a pack of strands. You pick the density, the length, the color, and get ready to do a full head. I mean, the amount of that's so, you know what? There was a girl at the show that I couldn't talk into it. I got to give it to Darren. I was shocked. We talked and she goes, yes, but I want to go to some other booths and see if there's anything better here. I'm a little newer at this. And I said, there isn't anything better out there. And she said, I know you say that. I said, I know that you expect me as the owner of a company. But let me tell you, I've been coming to these hair shows for close to 20 years now. Didn't do it the first 10 years of my career, or maybe 14, but for about 20 years now, going to these hair shows is where I found extensions, and I picked the best one back then. So I know you don't necessarily believe me. You think I'm just trying to sell you my thing, but when you find another, you're going to leave me if it's not better. We truly have the best technique, the best hair there is. And at this point, I'm telling you, if it's a keratin bond, we sell she hair, keratin bond, the best quality hair and K-tip, keratin bond, whatever you want to call it, on the planet. And then we have the next best thing, on stage hair extensions, that is a reusable, super fast, over a year, you can use that same hair. It's incredible. Strands or wefts, beaded strands or wefts. And now the volumizer that goes on top of the head, all with the same beads. So I got so passionate. I'm like, so yeah, you want to just do it without the education? How about we have you sign a waiver? Let's sign a waiver saying you think you can do it. You won't complain about anything. You're just going to buy hair. And if you have any problems or a customer complains, don't call us or complain or ask for any help. Okay. And she's like, ooh, I might do that. And I said, Darren, let me introduce you. And she goes, oh, tag team. And he goes, and he puts his hand up. I'm like, no, we're not tag teaming you. I'm just saying he's the distributor in this area. He'd have to sign off or okay this waiver thing. But I don't think you should do it. You don't even, I mean, you got to at least get the tool to put them in, because our tool works with our bead. And then he goes, what about the coloring? I said, oh God, I guess you could order off a paper color chart, but you should get the coloring. He goes, right. And what about all the hair we give her for free? I mean, she's got more value in hair than what the kit's worth. She goes, wait, what do you mean? I said, I just told you about it. She didn't hear me say it, but the way he worded it, it all worked for her. Maybe she had to hear it a second time. Before you know it, she's got her phone out and her credit card and she's signing it up. And I'm like, okay, Darren, you the man.
That was the show deal, because that's what, so somebody came to me at the show and they were talking to me a little bit about it. You know, you were up in the private room, you were up in the classroom teaching what your segment, and somebody came over, they were looking at the weft, and I'm talking to them a little bit, and kind of similar-ish. You know, they want to go look around and compare it to other things. And I said, all right, no problem. I said, listen, let me introduce you to Darren. But if, you know, by the time you circle back around, I'll probably be upstairs teaching. So Darren's going to introduce you to Bernard. So I just want to introduce you to Darren. Make sure at least when you come back, you have a friendly face, somebody to talk to that kind of understands your position of what we've discussed so far. Fair? Yeah, sure. Okay, Darren, this is so-and-so, so-and-so. This is Darren. She's interested in the onstage technique and education, but free is too expensive for her. She wants to go around the show and compare it with the other brands, and then she might come back and she might ask for a payment plan on the free education. And Darren starts laughing and he goes, all right, you know, the 25 monthly payments are free a week. You know Darren, right? Darren's always throwing in a jab at something. So, and then the lady goes, wait, what? No, free? What? I'm like, no, I understand free is too expensive. I got to go. You have fun with Darren. I'm out. And I start walking away. She said, come back here. Come back here.
It's like, no, I have a schedule to keep. Yeah. So we're extending the same deal right now through tomorrow, I think, right? Through Friday. I say tomorrow. I know we're live. So if you're watching this recorded.
Well, look, if you came to the show,
ask. But the show deal.
Right.
Ask.
Right. Say you've seen the live. Say you missed the show, or you was at the show, and
Eddie
at
said
the show
you
didn't
get the show deal, even if it's a year from now.
Even a year ago, Bernard said
that he might be able to.
Might.
Yeah. So, yeah, we've never run a deal like this before. I thought that it would be, so we did sell some classes, more classes, but I can't believe, I guess it almost again seems too good to be true.
That was the problem to some of the people.
Still,
they just weren't understanding what free means.
Yeah. So how did you like the Chicago show overall? Did you get to enjoy anything other than our booth?
I really didn't. You know, as I was walking back and forth to the classrooms, I was walking through the show. So I was kind of looking at other booths as I was walking by.
Me too.
But I didn't personally get to attend anybody else's booth. Now, I did talk to some of the other educators, you know, since we were upstairs in the classrooms. I got an opportunity to speak to some other educators from some of the other brands who were next door to us. So that was kind of fun. And then because I was using some visual aids in my classroom, I had to go to the model prep area. So I had to rinse, you know, my color bowls out at the shampoo bowls. So then while I was at the shampoo bowls, I got to speak to some of the other educators from over there as well, too. That was fun. You know, that was good conversations. I think I was, the thing I'm most impressed about is the turnout at the classrooms. You know, that one, I was expecting a decent turnout. I wasn't expecting the great turnouts that we were getting. You know, the rooms were filled. I was talking about this last night at dinner.
Not my rooms. Your rooms were filled. I'm not complaining. I had some people. I had some people in my rooms, and we had. I have to say, it's probably not good for business to not have a full room, but the smaller rooms, I always enjoy the intimacy, the getting to know people a little more personally, and they can ask questions and they're not as intimidated. It doesn't grow our business as fast as our partners would like, but I enjoyed it no less. I do wish that I think it's just because extensions are much more prevalent these days and people aren't really understanding how much different this is, and coming to see it is a treat. But some people do get it. Some people, everyone that came in the room, I said, what are you guys doing now? And they're like, hand tied, hand tied, hand tied. A couple of keratin users, a couple of eye tips, mostly hand tied. And I was just amazed that people are freaking taking 30, 45 minutes to tie each weft in. Still blows me away. That's what we did 30 years ago. I'm not tying wefts in again.
I'll tell you, I don't know if I would be nervous if your room was full. Because I'll tell you this way.
I can do it.
When
I know I can do it.
No, I know you can do it. That's not, I don't mean it that way. So it's like, okay, I have salon owner. I speak to salon owners and they're like, we have a dozen people. We want to get a dozen people trained. And I'm like, that sounds great in theory, but of that dozen, how many of them are actually serious? And how many of them are just like, well, if she's getting trained, then I want to get trained, or, what day is it on? Oh, that,
yeah. You never really know. I say send them all. You never know which ones are actually going to do it, in my opinion.
Okay, but then if somebody doesn't do extension, so like if somebody gets trained today, but then they don't do extension for 3-4 months, is that person, like, how good or bad is that person going to be in a consultation? Are they going to ruin the opportunity for that client to potentially receive the service that they could have exceptionally well? Or are they going to potentially ruin a client from disqualifying a client from not receiving a service they should? Like if that client should not have extensions and they're just going to do it because they're excited they finally got somebody, and it's the wrong type of hair or the wrong type of person to be having hair.
I'm so confused. Don't even try again. I just thought of something. You speak 5 different languages, right? Is it 5?
Okay.
And so I'm thinking, you already know 5 languages. You don't need to get Rosetta Stone for Japanese. You should just move to Japan. I think you can speak it.
Where are you going with this?
That's what I'm thinking about education. It's like, I already know 10 other techniques. I don't need yours. I already know 5 different languages. I think I could just speak Portuguese now. I'm just going to
see where you're going with this. I'm
just going to go to Portugal. I already know a bunch of languages. I don't need learn another one.
So then let me ask you this way, because of my background. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if I went to Japan, I would have an easier time picking up on the different structures of the language.
Which is true, just like extensions, right?
Just like extensions. I see where you're going with this, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I will be fluent within a week. Right. I'm still going to fumble some of because there's a difference between learning learning how the slang versus the proper way of sentence structure. Yeah. So it's like,
worse. Yeah.
That's actually a really great analogy, because even though I know English, I still struggle trying to put a sentence together. And you help me or point it out to me all the time.
Well, that's just for fun. Yeah. So what else? Let's talk about this hair show we were at and all the things. We had one big booth with other brands and products. What other successes would you want to share about any of the other products that you guys had there in your booth?
It's really exciting to see that people are still looking at hair color. The thing with hair color, though, what was very interesting to me is how much toning is being done and how much reliance there is on toning.
Wait a minute. Just stop there for a minute. I know. I don't know if I like it or don't like it. My wife says, Bernard, why are we charging for color and toner separately? I said, what do you mean? She said, nobody, or bleaching and toning, I should say. She said, nobody lightens hair and doesn't tone it anymore like you used to do. I said, well, I mean, when you go back to when I highlighted hair, first of all, there was different products. There was one that was heat. I'm not saying this is the healthiest stuff to use, but It was a fast product. I think it was called Sunglitz and Kaleidocolors. They don't even make the formula the same anymore. But you put this blue or purple powder mixed with some high volume peroxide. You got all the hair pulled through a cap first or foiled up. And then it didn't even start changing color till it got under heat. You put it under the dryer and boom, in 3 to 7 minutes, it was white. And it was fast. And that was amazing. And supposedly the toner was in the powder. And so that was a big popular one. But even the bleaches and lighteners were, I'd like to say we went through a golden age. We didn't need the color as white as people want it today. You know, high yellow was blonde as far as we knew. We didn't have a word that was called platinum blonde, icy blonde, all these names. And so I think to get rid of that yellow, you almost have to tone these days. And so my wife said, everybody tones. So it's funny that you're saying that. So yes, toning is as important or more important in the educational department now than the bleaching and coloring itself.
It's wild. And then that goes back to the classroom, but especially at the booth too. The amount of conversations I was having about toning was just, it was just mental. And it's just like the class, the one class that I had on Sunday in particular, the class started 10, 15, 20 minutes into the class. People are still walking in. They just kept walking in nonstop. It never ended. So it was just like the amount of questions that were being asked is wild, is so wild. So that definitely, the all nutrient table, you know, the all nutrient area, the color area by our booth was really fascinating to see how many different kits people were looking at, how many different questions people were asking about. If you lighten properly, you shouldn't have to tone. A toner is designed to fix or adjust. Right? An unwanted tone. And the only reason why you would get an unwanted tone is you missed your mark. You either over or under lightened.
I thought, right?
That's
the other thing about toner that I don't think enough people understand. And I don't know color like you do by any means, but I think it's funny when people say, oh, don't worry, we can tone it to get, you don't have to leave the bleach on that long. We'll tone it to get there. Toner does not go lighter.
No, it doesn't.
It only goes darker, right? And so, yes,
you
there are
to get light enough.
You didn't get light enough. You can't tone it lighter. Just wait longer. Or use the right lightener. Hey, that was interesting to me. I stayed in one of your classes for a little while, and I thought it was a little mean that you tricked the crowd. No, I'm just kidding.
I did trick the crowd big time.
A few times. And you're like, is there a difference between bleach and lightener? And they were like, and I didn't know what the answer was. And I don't even know if you made it up. But I know you don't make it up. But that was interesting to me that there was a time when all the lightener, bleach, whatever the generic term for it, was all the same. It was all just bleach.
It was all just bleach.
Whether
Lightener is only a new thing.
Liquid or powder form. And then later, they still have bleach, but they also still have lightener. Do they have liquid lightener, or is it all powdered lightener? I think they do both, huh?
Can you have liquid light?
I don't know the difference. That's why I thought it was interesting when you said there was a difference. I left your class a little early because I had to get back to the stage, but I heard you in the middle of explaining it, and I thought, well, now that's probably a video we should do in the future, the difference between bleach and lightener.
I'm going to have to do some research and see if there's such a thing as liquid. I know there's liquid bleach. I know there's powdered bleach. I know there's powdered lightener, but I don't know. All right. You just gave me a homework assignment. That's fun.
And something to talk about in the future, because I think it's fascinating for you to ask, is there a difference? And you say there is. I'd love to hear the difference. I didn't quite get it. I was leaving while you were still explaining it. And I just think that was very valuable information. And a lot of what you taught in those classes, I could see little snippets being really good, teachable, Profitable Stylist teachable classes that you have not brought up. And I'm like, this guy knows so much about color and toner and lightener, and he's holding back, keeping it a secret. I don't know why. You don't want to share it.
It's not that I just didn't think, I do it in those type of classes, just thinking it's general common information, but that's something that I learned over this weekend. It is not as general or as common of an information as I realize it, or I think it could be.
There's a saying you might enjoy because you like these sayings. Common sense ain't so common. That's a good one, huh? Somebody told me that one time. They're like, common sense is really not that common. And I'm like, well, that's interesting. That's sad.
That is interesting.
That's sad. But,
okay.
Yeah. But, and in your case, I don't think it was just common sense what you're talking about. It's something that I've learned, and you might be going through this thing that I learned years ago about teaching, is that the things that I just take for granted, that I just do daily, that I just feel like everybody should know, I've slowly got there, and I just forget just the basics. That's why when we were talking about the 9 or 10 laws of growing a hair extension business, I originally wanted to call it back to basics, because it's just like that coach that brought some, I don't even know if it was high school or college, but he would consistently bring these teams to winning their season. And it was a motivational, educational kind of thing from somebody. And I don't follow sports, so it's harder for me to remember the details. But I just remember he's always getting new kids when they graduate, but he continued to win. And people asked him how he did it. And he said, I just start with the basics. I teach him how. A couple of the things I remember was he taught him how to dribble the ball. And I think this was college, but RJ's probably commenting like right now saying it was high school or college, or correcting me and naming the coach and everything. But you would think that by the time these people got to this place, what's he saying?
John Wooden.
Yep. And was it college or high school? Because by the time these kids get to this place where they got a scholarship or on an A type team, they should know how to dribble the ball. But he's going through basics like how to dribble the ball, how to tie your shoes. Because obviously shoes matter on a basketball court because you're slipping all over the place. What?
He says college, and he started with putting socks on. How to put your socks on.
Right. And I bet you some of these kids just didn't even wear socks. So he probably went through all the details of how important it is to wear socks, tying your shoes. Because I guess if your foot's slipping in your shoes when you're making all those quick little moves, if you could just get your shoes just a little more proper, you're probably going to run and stop and jive just a little bit better.
You're bringing that up. I thoroughly did enjoy the balance between the classes where there was new stylists coming into the industry, they're 5 years or less in the industry. And I would say welcome to all of them. And then I'd say, how many of you are between 5 to 10 years in the industry? And I say, things are starting to click now. And they're like, yeah. And then having people in the industry 10 or 20 years, or longer. And then just getting the interaction between the generations of hairdressers.
That is always fun.
Having that commonality between everybody. So that is something that's super cool at the show, is to see the interaction between the generation of hairdressing and see how one learns from the other and one reinforces what the other one is learning. That is super cool. That is one of my personal favorite things.
Yeah. And it's funny because if you listen to the old timers at the different booths, one of the biggest criticisms of the show that I do not agree with, but they'll say the last day was that Monday. So Monday is student day. We're gonna have a bunch of students. So and you know what? I got there early and I saw the first bus pull up, and like 30 people were coming off the bus and I was like, you guys, and they named the school. But some of the old timers are like, Monday's student day. We'll have more students and stylists. We won't sell as much. And I thought, well, that's negative. But I, like you, it's like getting a puppy. You know how excited a new puppy
is.
They're so excited. The tag's wailing and wagging, and they just want to lick you. And I mean, they're just so excited about everything. That's what students remind me of, new puppies coming into the show. Their eyes are big. They're looking all around. And of course, this generation, this is how they do it. But you can still tell they're excited. They're trying to be so cool and not really look. And then they get up to your booth and they kind of looking, but they're trying to act like they don't care. And then a smile comes on. Then they start asking all the questions. And then the personality comes out. And then, like you said, they're truly interested. And to me, that is what's most fun about the show. I love Student Day the most. And
Can I tell you a story about a student?
We sold the most on Student Day. Now,
On
maybe it wasn't to the students. I don't know if it's the experienced ones or the students or a mix of both. But I think the students bring a certain new excitement that might just waken us old people.
I mean, that is the whole point. You know, they bring in a fresh perspective on things. You know, the newer generation brings a fresher perspective on things. The older generation can guide that perspective to help enhance it better and feel important, right? Then the newer generation can take that to a limit and a evolution beyond our imagination, because they still don't. They're still so fresh that they don't have the failures that we've had yet. So
or limitations,
right? Right. So yeah, like you get to a point where like, oh, I've already tried doing it similarly to that way. It's probably not going to work because of 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever.
Right.
But then this new generation's like, well, what about this way? You know, like let's try it this way. And you're like,
wait, stop. Oh, wait, that worked? How did that work?
It's cool. I was, you know, the kerotherapy booth that we had is it was all about keratin depletion. And John and I were doing a live stream, and I forgot, I think it was on Saturday we were doing the live stream. And somebody, you know, a group of students, like Monday is primarily the student day, but that doesn't mean there's no students on any of the other days. That just means there's more hairdressers than students.
That stream was probably on Sunday then. Because I think
it was on Saturday.
Sunday, he said we didn't do any live streams. We need to do it. And yeah, okay. But go ahead.
So I was one of the live streams that I was doing with John at the moment. I was talking about the Bamboo Miracle Reconstructor from Kerotherapy. And then just coincidentally happened to be where a group of 5 girls were going by. One of the 5 had curly hair like Carmelina. Well, she said it was curlier than Carmelina. But at first glance, I'm like, oh, she's got curly hair like Carmelina. But her hair was all like in pigtails and pulled back. So I'm like, hey, come here. You know, let me talk to you for a minute, if you don't mind being on the camera. Going back and forth with her. The reason why, you know, she pulls her hair back a lot is because she's got the curly hair and it's dry and she doesn't like washing her hair very often. So I had a dialogue and an exchange with her. And she asked me some really intelligent questions. I was really impressed. And at the end of talking with her, I gave her a Bamboo Miracle. And she said, you know, and it was just out of a charity. It wasn't out of anything. It was just basically a thank you for spending a minute to stop and speak with me. You've got curly hair, you know, and during our conversation, I was convinced that this would help her. And she's like, well, I'm a student, I have money. I'm like, this is not about the money. Just take this. This will change your life. I promise you.
Eddie's Miracles.
It'll be a Bamboo Miracle. I was up in the classroom the next day. John said she came back the next day to the table with her hair down and styled.
Nice.
And she said she gave John a hug and cried because she said it's the first time anybody ever spent a minute to talk to her and not just say, oh, you got curly hair is crap, whatever. Like I actually took the time to explain to her and give her an idea and a plan on how to do her hair nicely in a way that would work for her. Like I gave her a full consultation, right?
Right.
And I set her on a path to try out. And
it was a YouTube live like just a few days ago. We could go back and watch that if we wanted.
Yeah, on the Here's the Bling channel, but yes.
Oh, Here's the Bling. Okay. YouTube.
Yeah, I was doing it on the HCB channel. Yeah.
Okay.
But she came back the next day and I told John, like, did you take a picture with her? Did you video it? Did you do anything? Get a testimonial? She's like, dude, she was so happy. She was crying. She hugged me. She's like, I didn't want to ruin the moment. I'm like, you're an idiot.
It just happened so quick. You don't have to wait. I get it. I got to video you know?
Yeah. Hold those tears. Somebody get me some hairspray. Hold that tear right there. No, but that's super cool, you know, and that's really, really cool. And this is why we do the show. Like you want to talk about moments from the show. We do help people all the time. Like you get comments all the time on your videos, you know, oh my God, you changed my life. This is amazing. I have never seen a transformation like this before, an education like this before. you're awesome. We get those comments all the time, but to actually see somebody in person go through the whole stages of emotion, it's touching.
Yeah.
And it reinforces and reminds us why we do what we do. It's cool. It's why I do the technical support. Technical support's rough, but I do it because I do believe that it helps people. And then it's fun when you're at the show, people coming up to you, Eddie, I love you, Bernard, you're so awesome, right? And then they're hugging us and they're saying hi to us, and they're like, oh, I was texting with you last week. I can't believe I get to see you.
Right.
Oh, that 15-minute call I had with you after my class, Bernard. Oh my God, it was mind blowing. Now I get to actually see you. Like, it's cool. It's a really cool feeling.
You talked about the support after a class, and that is one of the more important things that we do. We've got a Facebook that people that get certified with us get joined into. We ask you to join it. Not everyone does, most do. And you can ask a question in there, and then me or you will answer it. But it's not always just one of us answering it. Other stylists that have had the same challenges can sometimes answer also. But we both put our cell phone numbers out there for technical support to answer through texting, calling. We support through Sales Messenger. We have a campaign of texts that go out because we know the challenges you're going to deal with, because some of them are pretty common. We try to help with those right away. We have tons of YouTube videos to help solve those problems. And then the online education, you can always go back and watch it again and again and again. And I don't think most people do go back and watch it a second or third time, but I have had those few that say, I watched your class or your education 5 times, a bunch of different times.
No, I do remind people to go back and rewatch at the Profitable Stylist Academy. Go back. That education is yours.
Yeah. I think if we gave a limit, like a timeline, you only have it for 30 days. I bet people would watch it a few times. They'd be recording it with their phones, We don't want to limit it. We want you to get good at it. And we've broken it up into a bunch of videos so that you can watch the ones that are most important, like the technique, the application.
It becomes your technical manual. You can always go back and re-reference it. And that's awesome.
Watch the part where Eddie screws up over and over again. And video it and post it and say, if this guy can do it, I can do it.
Anybody can do it. And go back to the section where Bernard corrects it.
Right.
Just coincidentally, 2 minutes later, where Bernard points it out and corrects it.
Helping.
Listen to that over and over as well, too, so you can really get it in your mind how to do it the right way.
Right. Yeah, you'll get it one day, Eddie. Just keep trying.
One day. Just got to keep trying.
What else happened in the booth?
We had the Zero Trace Bond from She, and it's interesting to see how people, when they're looking at keratin bonds, and they're like, oh yeah, I could do a keratin bond. I could do a keratin bond. Every person I showed the Zero Trace technique to was like, what the hell? Why have I been doing it this way forever?
Right.
So that one.
Most people are still rolling their bonds round.
And I was just about to say, especially if you're still rolling your bonds rounded
and doing them like this long
and holding it off the head, not a natural fall.
God, it drives me crazy.
You should look.
They look like Beetlejuice,
It's a 2-minute video. It's a free 2-minute video. Sign up for the Zero Trace video. Take a look at it, watch it, and it'll help you discover and decide whether or not you're missing out on something or not.
Maybe we could put that in a link in the description.
We should. We probably should.
Below Zero Trace Bonds.
RJ and Darren, get on it.
Yeah, look at a new way to do a keratin bond. Man, even if you're still rolling them, learn how to at least do a flat bond. I mean, that would be
at a minimum as an option.
You look like an emoji. At a minimum. Yeah, at a minimum, do a flat bond. And a flat bond is not a rolled bond and then smashed flat. That is not a flat bond, guys. Who's doing that? Who's rolling their bond and then flattening it? Because
I know somebody who does that.
Yeah, a lot of people. You take a section of hair like this. Could you imagine if I blow it up and you take a section of hair like this, and let's go skinnier, and you heat it up, it spreads. And if you fold it, whether you fold it under or over, you still this wide, because you spread and you fold, you spread, you fold. all the hair from up here in my screen is coming down to the bond, staying straight in the bond and hanging straight. So it hangs straight out of that. But if you roll it, you take a section that's wide and you skinny it up to roll it. And then you smash it out. The hair's still going in there like that and then coming out of. So it's not, the hair's not traveling straight through the keratin. So even a flat bond done well is amazing. But how do you learn how to do that without education? We have that education at the Profitable Stylist. It's there. You could probably catch it. You could probably catch one of my flat bond videos further back on this feed, like way in the beginning, 5, 6, 7 years ago. I think it might even be called flat bond, keratin flat bond video. That's a good place to start. But the zero trace is just, we just keep getting better.
It's the 7th. To put it in perspective, it's the 7th generation of the keratin bond over the years.
Cool. Okay.
I mean, it's not that we forgot about it. It's not that we just didn't, want to do anything with it. No, we have been continually.
Well, that's good to know. I bet you people out there, if you ask them, what generation are you on with your keratin bonds?
They're probably on their first or second.
First or second, right? Right.
So baby, 7th generation. That is huge. We've been doing keratin right for a very long time.
Very long.
Very, very long time.
Yeah.
And then I think another moment that I had at the show was Jared, the inventor of the Xenogen product, made a special guest appearance on Monday and was teaching the classes.
He was the inventor?
He's the inventor of the Xenogen regrowth product.
When he was talking, he was using words I didn't know if I knew English. I didn't know if he was speaking English or I just didn't know English very well, because I knew a lot of words leading up to the words he started to use. And then he started sounding like a scientist. And I was like, I don't know. I need to see this in writing or on video where I can pause, look up a definition, pause, look up a definition, try to put it all together. And John was listening to him and interviewing him with a microphone. And John goes, right. I see that. And John, I think John might have actually understood a lot of the words. Because
John is not a scientist. Jared is.
But
John is a nerd and he appreciates all that language.
Right, that's what it is. And I didn't care. But I just don't care. Does it work? That's all I ever really care about.
I'm having flashbacks over here of talking with you about certain things, and I start trying to tell you the ingredients and the names of this stuff, and you're like, what does that mean in English?
Bathroom while you're explaining it. Because I feel like I've got it. I want to know just enough to understand if it works, because I feel like I've got to explain it to the client that's going to buy the product, and they are going to care even less than I do about all the details. Now, some of them do. Some care, I know, but it's not about the care. It's more about I got to use words that they understand. Because
these are the words that they need to understand.
I didn't get them, but that dude is so smart. I was like, I don't know what he's saying.
You want to know what's insane? So he goes to college. Like, this is just real brief. He goes to college. He's studying some specific science, which I forgot in the moment, but it was like some insane major science thing, right? And all of a sudden he starts losing his hair. And so he's desperately, he's young, in his early 20s, and he starts, trying all the hair regrowth stuff and all the chemicals and all the steroid stuff. And it's working, it's not working, it's halfway working. He changed his entire major in college to start going into the biology of the human body, just so he can restore his own hair himself.
Wow.
Like that it's a wild story. It's a really wild story.
I didn't get to see pictures of him before. Did he have less hair on his head than he does now?
Far less, like a third of what he's got like a third of what you saw at the show. He's like you, he's got a full head of hair now. It's insane. It's insane. So just the fact that he got so annoyed and aggravated and self-conscious that he changed his entire career.
Hope he's
making. He would not accept it.
So now he made it into a bunch of products that he could sell.
And then he made it, and then he made a business out of it.
That's incredible. Yeah, that's cool.
hats off. You know, I tip my hat to you, Jared, and
Yeah,
all of our Xenogen friends.
that's
So it's
impressive.
super cool.
We should interview him on here one day. I'll have to wear sunglasses in case I fall asleep. Nobody
From
will know.
hearing all the big words.
But we should get him on here to interview one day. Talk about the
That would
product
be
and
fun.
let him tell a story. That'd be cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Eddie will get him for next week. No, Ali just okayed. Ali's got training on our color cutting and styling. He's got training on our Profitable Stylist Academy site. He just texted me a few minutes ago. Yep, I'm working while I'm working. And he said that he's good. He just needs the link and he can show up next Thursday at 10 to do this. So
Super
you'll have to
cool.
deal with him about that. But we'll talk about what he has and what he teaches and what he's taught through the years. And he's been on some of the major shows out there. He's an interesting fella, interesting character. He's one of those hairdressers that'll wear.
He's cool, man. I like Ali.
I know, but I like that he's different because I just wouldn't do some of the things he's done. I've seen him on stage, and you know how some stylists will wear, male stylists, will wear, it looks like a dress to me, but it might be like a ninja outfit. I'm not really sure.
You uncultured swine.
That's the
you.
problem. I know. I'm just from Southern Louisiana. I just wear my pants and t-shirts and I
Ali
drive
is
a
the hair
tractor.
ninja.
You know?
Okay.
And Ali has a mustache that curls around.
He's got a fantastic mustache.
Yeah.
A mustache.
So, you know, he's so known for that mustache that he developed a clear business card with the mustache on it. So you can hold it up and do a selfie of yourself and look like
That's
him.
awesome. That's hilarious. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, it was a great idea. But he's really good at hair too. And I've taught in his salon, and he's done some education that we premiered on the site. So I'd like to get him on. We just broke his education up. It used to be in a category where there was more videos together and we charged more money for it. But we decided that people might only want to learn little pieces. Like you might just want to learn this haircut or that haircut. So we broke up his education to a bunch of teeny tiny parts for a whole lot less money. So you can just pay, I don't know, $8 or $9 or $12 to get just that one thing that you wanted to learn or were interested in. So we'll bring him on next week. He'll have a week to study how we broke it up. But he teaches everything, but he didn't know till today we broke it all up. So let him know, Eddie, that we broke it up. And he might want to take a look at it and study it a little bit because we're going to quiz him about it and get him on StreamYard so we can do this. I keep kicking this thing. I've got to run to my next meeting, Eddie. You want to close us out? Any last thoughts?
The show was fun. Thank you all who attended and stopped by the booth to say hi to us. It was fun to get to see all of you and interact. For those of you who are just seeing this now, you know, go ahead and share this with somebody else. Give us a comment, say hi so we can say hi back to you. Thank you guys so much for watching. We will catch y'all next week.